On her birthday, my mom slammed the door in my face and shouted, "You're no longer my son." I calmly walked back to my car and left. That night, I canceled every payment, account, and service they had been relying on. This isn't just a story about a family falling apart, it's about the moment I finally realized I was nothing more than an ATM to the people who were supposed to love me most. And then, on her birthday, my own mother slammed the door in my face, effectively disowning me, all because I dared to stop being their personal bailout fund. My name's Mateo, I'm 36, and for 15 years, I was my family's personal emergency fund. It started subtly, 100 here, 200 there. But somewhere around 21, I made the mistake of helping out once, and that became my permanent job title. My younger brother, Bruno, was always the golden child. From the time we were kids, they'd pawn my gaming console to buy him a dirt bike, promising to pay me back. They never did. 6 months later, he had a better bike. Go figure. The financial drain on me quickly spiraled. It began with small things, new brake pads for mom's car, a spike in dad's prescription cost. But then Bruno discovered he could mess up royally, and I'd fix it. That's when things got expensive. The first major bailout was when he was 22, a DUI after a house party. $7,000 for the lawyer, $2 for fines, another $600 for a program. Mom called, crying about his future, about how he couldn't possibly face jail. I paid for everything. 3 days later, Bruno texted me, "Thanks man." Like I'd spotted him $20 for pizza. Seriously? 8 months later, he was into some pyramid scheme, needed $8,000 for inventory he'd never sell. Mom called it his business venture. It folded in 4 months. He blamed the market. Then came the truck. Bruno financed something he couldn't afford, missed payments, got it repossessed. Mom insisted he needed transportation. Could I co-sign a new loan? Of course, I did. I've been making half the payments for 3 years. I kept a spreadsheet, and the running total hit 6 figures by the time I was 30. My buddy Esteban, who works with me at the warehouse, finally called me out one day. He just straight up asked why I kept doing it. Family doesn't mean ATM, Mateo. My brother tried that game once, I told him no, and he figured it out. I didn't want to hear it, but he had a point. 3 months later, Bruno wrecked the truck. Totaled it hitting a pole after leaving a restaurant. Insurance didn't cover what was owed. I ate another $7,000. Bruno moved back in with mom and dad. The calls from mom kept coming, every few weeks. Bruno needed money for this, money for that. Always urgent. Always my problem. What absolutely killed me was the pattern. When Bruno messed up, they threw parties. When I succeeded, they asked for more money. Family dinners were the worst. Bruno would show up late, eat, then launch into some grand dream he'd never chase. Meanwhile, I was funding his entire existence. One dinner last spring, he mentioned getting an apartment. Mom immediately turned to me, "Mateo, can you help with first and last month's rent?" Not if I would, but if I could. Like it was a given. How much? I asked, completely deadpan. Maybe 3,000. Bruno was just scrolling on his phone, not even part of the conversation. I just said, "I'll think about it." Mom's disappointed look said I'd failed. 2 weeks later, the apartment was forgotten. Then, last October, I showed up to Sunday dinner and Bruno was wearing a brand new leather jacket. $600, easy. When I asked where he got it, he just shrugged, saved up. That very morning, Mom had texted me asking if I could cover Dad's water bill because they were a month behind. Bruno had money for designer leather, but they couldn't pay utilities. The math just wasn't matching. Later, I saw the credit card statement, my name on the account, Bruno's jacket on the charges. He bought himself a fancy jacket with my credit, while Mom was hitting me up for bill money. When I brought it up, Mom actually said he deserved nice things, too. That I shouldn't begrudge him small pleasures. Small pleasures, on my dime. That was the pattern. And that's when the breaking point really started to build. Bruno had been living at home for a year and a half by then. No job, no visible effort to change anything. He'd sleep until noon, play games until dinner, then disappear with friends. Mom said he was dealing with depression, said he needed time, said I should be more supportive. I was supporting him. The mortgage had my name on it from 7 years ago, and I'd been covering $600 to $800 monthly. Utilities, car insurance for both their vehicles, Dad's medical insurance, internet, cable, all mine. I'd built them a financial structure they never even acknowledged. Bruno's entitlement was off the charts, empty gas tanks, eaten groceries, constant messes. And Mom defended all of it. Esteban kept asking me why I didn't just walk away. I couldn't come up with a good answer. Then November happened, and everything changed. The call came on a Tuesday night. I was watching a game when my phone lit up with Mom's contact. I almost didn't answer because calls from her after 8 p.m. were never good news. Mateo. Her voice was shaking. Your brother, he's been arrested. I just turned off the TV. For what? They're saying he stole something from a store, but it's a mistake. It has to be. I waited. There was always more. They want $10,000 for bail. If we don't post it by tomorrow, he'll be stuck there for weeks. We can't let him sit in jail. He can't handle that. My blood ran cold. Mom, what did he steal? She hesitated. Electronics from that big box store on Route 9. But he said it was a misunderstanding. He said he forgot to scan something. My jaw clenched. How much in electronics? Silence. Then, I think, 1,500. My temper snapped. Are you kidding me? This doesn't sound like a misunderstanding. Her voice turned frigid. So what? You're going to abandon him. Leave him there. I took a deep breath. I'm saying maybe consequences are exactly what he needs. The line went silent. Then her voice came back, colder than I'd ever heard it. Your father and I raised you better than this. Family helps family. If you won't help your brother, what kind of person are you? The kind who's tired of fixing problems he created. Bruno is 32 years old. This is what happens when someone goes through life knowing Big Brother will bail them out every time. Are you refusing? Yes, I'm refusing. She hung up. 3 minutes later, Dad called, tried the reasonable approach, said 10,000 wasn't that much, said Mom was devastated. I told him Bruno needed to face this himself. Esteban called me that night around 11. In our small town, news travels fast. You holding up? He asked. Mom thinks I'm a terrible person for not bailing him out. You're not, Mateo. You're the only person thinking clearly. Your brother stole, got caught. Now he wants someone else to fix it. Mom's going to make this heck for me, probably. But heck is temporary. Enabling Bruno forever isn't. We talked for 20 minutes. By the time we hung up, I felt a strange sense of clarity, even relief. The next morning, my phone blew up with texts from Mom. All variations of the same guilt trip. How could I do this? How Bruno was suffering. How this proved I cared more about money than family. I didn't respond to any of them. Bruno ended up sitting in county jail for 3 weeks. The judge set probation, community service, restitution, and fines. Total around $8,000. He called me the day he got out. I need help with the fines. No. Come on, man. If I don't pay, they'll violate me. Then figure it out. Mom said you have the money. I have money for my life, not yours. So, you're done helping me. I've helped you for 15 years, Bruno. DUI, failed business, co-signed loans, car accident. I'm not helping you out of criminal charges. Mom's right about you. He hung up. Over the next 2 months, Mom called constantly, demanding, pleading, crying about how I'd abandoned Bruno. I stopped answering after the first week. Dad tried a few times, said I was tearing the family apart. I told him Mom was enabling a 32-year-old thief. Eventually, Bruno worked out a payment plan, got a job, started paying Mom rent, and stopped asking me for money. Then January came. Mom's 61st birthday. I'd been ignoring her calls since November, but a birthday felt different. Maybe enough time had passed. I spent a week picking out a gift. She collected ceramic birds, and I found a handcrafted cardinal from an artist 3 towns over. $200. Wrapped it carefully, and drove an hour to their house. The driveway had 3 cars, Bruno's beat-up sedan, Dad's truck, and Mom's SUV. Through the front window, I could see movement. The dining room table was set for dinner. Balloons, a cake with candles. Bruno was sitting at the head of the table, where I usually sat during family dinners. Chair tipped back, telling some story that had Dad laughing. Mom was bringing out dishes from the kitchen. I grabbed the gift and walked up to the door, knocked 3 times. The door opened. Mom stood there. For a second, our eyes met. Then her expression hardened into something I'd never seen before. Pure, cold anger. What do you want? I held up the gift. Happy birthday, Mom. I wanted to bring you something. Her voice was razor sharp. You're not welcome here. Wait, what? You let your brother sit in jail. You chose money over family. Mom, come on. It's your birthday and he's out now. Can we move on, please? No. What you did is unforgivable. My own anger flared. I only chose to stop enabling someone who needs consequences. I've been helping this family for 15 years. The one time I said no, I'm the villain. She cut me off, her voice dripping with venom. You're not my son anymore. I froze. What? You're not my son. I have one son and he's inside at my birthday dinner where he belongs. Through the window, I saw Bruno lean back, a drink in hand, laughing. He glanced toward the door, saw me, and smirked. It was pure, unadulterated contempt. Take your gift and leave. Don't come back. She closed the door. The deadbolt slid into place with a sickening thud. I stood there for a minute, just processing. Then I calmly set the gift down on the doormat, pulled out my phone, and took a photo. Timestamp, 6:40 p.m. Then I got in my car. I didn't feel crushed. I didn't feel guilty. I felt done. I called Esteban from the car. She just told me I'm not her son anymore. I said, my voice flat. Are you serious? He asked. Over the Bruno thing. Over me not bailing him out. Said I chose money over family. Closed the door in my face on her birthday. Esteban was quiet for a second. What are you going to do? I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to stop being their bank account. All of it. I'm pulling myself out of their entire financial structure. Good. Do you need help? I need you to remind me not to feel guilty when this gets ugly. Deal. Come over. Bring your laptop. We'll handle this properly. I went to his place. He made coffee while I opened my banking apps and pulled up every account, every payment, every obligation I'd spent 15 years building for people who had just told me I wasn't family anymore. And then I started dismantling it all. Esteban's kitchen table became command center. I had my laptop open, my phone next to it, and a legal pad where I'd started listing every financial connection I had to my parents and Bruno. The list ran 2 pages. Looking at it all written out was actually wild. Esteban brought over coffee and looked at the list. Holy smokes, you've been funding their entire life, pretty much. He sat down across from me. I pulled up the electric company account. 3 clicks to request service cancellation. Effective date, tomorrow. The automated system said termination would process Monday morning since it was Friday night. By Tuesday, they'd be getting disconnection notices. By Thursday, the power would go out. Gas took 2 minutes. Same process. Internet took 30 seconds. I requested immediate cancellation on that one, and it went through instantly. By the time they woke up tomorrow morning, their Wi-Fi would be dead. What else? Esteban asked, a glint in his eye. Car insurance. Both their vehicles were on my policy because family bundling was cheaper. I called my insurance company's automated line, removed Dad's truck and Mom's SUV effective midnight tonight. Within 12 hours, they'd be driving uninsured. If either of them got pulled over or had an accident, the consequences would be immediate and expensive. Mortgage? Esteban asked. Co-borrower. I've been covering $600 to $800 monthly because the payments are more than they can handle. This one took longer. I had to submit a formal written request to be removed as a responsible party. The bank's online portal said processing would take 5 business days, but the next payment was due on the 23rd, 5 days from now. Without my contribution, it would bounce. Late fees would pile up immediately. After 30 days, they'd be reported as delinquent, and my parents' credit would implode even more than it already had. Esteban was taking notes like a pro. What about Bruno specifically? Please tell me he's got his own obligations you can tank. The truck loan from 3 years ago, I co-signed. Been making half the payments because he's always short. I contacted the lender and requested removal as co-signer. They said I needed Bruno's consent or proof of financial hardship. I submitted a dispute claim stating I'd been making unauthorized payments on someone else's vehicle and wanted off the loan immediately. The claim would trigger an investigation. The loan would freeze. Bruno would have to prove he could make full payments solo or the truck would get repossessed again. Then came the medical insurance. My dad's supplemental coverage came out of my account, $600 monthly, because Medicare doesn't cover everything and his prescriptions are expensive. I logged into the insurance portal and terminated the policy effective January 31st, 2 weeks from now. Dad had a standing cardiology appointment in early February. Without supplemental coverage, that visit would cost $800 out of pocket. The prescriptions he'd need refilled would add another $500. They'd be looking at $1,300 in unexpected medical costs within weeks. Then the credit cards. 3 of them. One was Bruno's that I was listed as an authorized payer on. The balance was around $6,500 from when he bought a bunch of car parts last year he never installed. The second was Mom's from when Dad's hours got cut 5 years ago, balance about $9,000. The third was a store card at that furniture place where they bought a whole living room set. I was the primary account holder on that one. Bruno's card went first. I called and revoked my authorization as payer. The card locked immediately. He'd find out the next time he tried to buy gas or food. Mom's card took longer because I was co-signed, not just authorized. I submitted formal removal requests and disputes for recent charges. The account would get flagged for review and probably frozen within 48 hours. The furniture store card I just closed entirely. A $1,200 balance went straight to collections. Then I pulled up my credit card statements and started canceling all subscriptions. Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, Premium Spotify, cable package, cloud storage, even a meal kit service. Mom had signed up for 17 subscriptions total. By tomorrow morning, their entertainment would shut down piece by piece. By Monday, they'd be eating basic cable and free-tier streaming. What about that house payment again? Esteban asked. You said you're co-signed. Yeah, but the payment is $1,800 monthly. They've been paying about $1,000. I've been covering the gap. If I stop paying the gap, they'll be short every month. Let them be short. You're not responsible for their inability to afford a house they shouldn't have bought. He was right. I logged into the mortgage company portal and scheduled a stop payment on my automatic transfer. The bank would attempt to pull $1,800 from their account on the 23rd. They'd only have about $1,000 available. The payment would fail. Late fees would start. By February, they'd be looking at foreclosure proceedings if they couldn't catch up. I took screenshots of every confirmation and saved them to a folder labeled Mom's Birthday 2025. Backed it up. Esteban raised his coffee mug. To boundaries. To boundaries, I agreed. We stayed up until midnight, changed passwords, removed them as beneficiaries, updated emergency contacts. By the time I went home, I'd systematically removed every financial connection. No more utilities, no more insurance, no more credit cards, nothing. I slept better that night than I had in months. The first notification came Saturday morning at 9:40 a.m. A text from Dad. Internet's not working. Did you forget to pay the bill? I didn't respond. Just noted the timestamp. By 11:30 a.m., I had more texts. All variations of confusion. Still didn't respond. Sunday, the texts increased. Mom called twice. Dad called once. All voicemails. Bruno texted around 4 p.m., "Hey man, we need to talk about the bills. We need to talk," like I was the one who'd created this problem. Monday morning, the real chaos started. I was at work when my phone started buzzing nonstop. Text after text after text, then calls, then voicemails. I turned my phone on silent and left it in my locker during my shift. Esteban worked the same schedule. During lunch, he asked how many notifications I had. Haven't checked. I pulled up my phone. 27 missed calls, 53 text messages, 6 voicemails. All from various combinations of Mom, Dad, and Bruno. I opened the texts first. Dad, power company says service was cancelled Friday. Need you to call them. Mom, why did the gas get shut off? It's freezing. Call the company. Bruno, my credit card declined. Something's wrong with the account. Dad, the bank called about the mortgage. They said you removed yourself as a co-borrower. Mom, Mateo, this isn't funny. Call me right now. I scrolled through all of them, watching the panic build message by message. By Monday afternoon, they'd figured out this wasn't an accident or a mistake. This was deliberate. The voicemails were even better. I listened to those. The first one was Dad, calm but concerned. Hey, Mateo, something's wrong with the utilities and the bank accounts. Can you give me a call when you get this? We need to figure out what happened. Then Mom, less calm. Mateo, I don't know what's going on, but you need to fix this immediately. The power is out. The gas is out. The internet has been down since Friday. Call me back. Then Bruno, then Dad. All of them ranting about the same thing. I listened until I saw notification number 7. A voice note from Mom. 41 seconds long. The timestamp showed it came in while I'd been eating dinner with my phone on silent. I almost skipped it. I already knew what she thought of me. Then I noticed something. The message preview said it was originally meant for Bruno's contact. She'd clicked the wrong name. I pressed play. Mom's voice came through, panicked and raw. The composed mask completely gone. Bruno, listen. Everything's shutting down. I called the mortgage company and they said Matteo removed himself as co-borrower on Friday, right after my birthday. Bruno. Her breathing was ragged. I think he's cutting us off. The power company said service cancellation was requested. By Tuesday, we'll be without electricity. I tried to check Dad's insurance portal and it's closed. Her voice cracked. You need to call him. Fix this. I don't care how. We can't lose the house. Do you understand what he's been paying for? Everything. And I think we pushed him too far. A pause. I told you we should have let him stay for an hour. I told you he'd been asking about my birthday for weeks. You said it didn't matter. You convinced me to shut the door on him, but he's not getting over it this time. Something's different. In the background, Dad asked something. I don't know how much he's been paying. I never wanted to know, but it's more than we can cover. If Matteo walks away, we have maybe 2 months before everything collapses. You need to apologize. Tonight. Go. To his place. Beg if you have to. The voice note ended. I sat there staring at my phone. Then I saved the file. Mom had said it herself. They couldn't survive without me. And she'd told Bruno they should have let me in. Not because she wanted me there, but because they needed my wallet. By Monday evening, the utility companies had processed the disconnections. Power went out at Mom and Dad's house around 6 p.m. Gas had already been shut off that morning. They had no heat, no electricity, no internet, no cable, just basic phone service and whatever daylight came through the windows. The temperature was dropping into the 20s at night. Their house would be uninhabitable by Wednesday without heat. Tuesday morning, I got texts from numbers I didn't recognize. Extended family, cousins, my aunt, all asking what was going on, all saying they'd heard from Mom that I was trying to make them homeless, all suggesting I needed to fix this and stop being vindictive. Rosa, my aunt, who'd always been straight with me, sent one message that made me laugh out loud. Your mom called me at midnight because they couldn't figure out how to get the heat back on. She wanted me to loan them money. I told her you'd been bankrolling their lifestyle for 15 years, and maybe this was a wake-up call. She hung up on me. She's telling everyone you did this out of nowhere for no reason. Wednesday, the mortgage company sent a formal notice. Payment due on the 23rd had been declined. Late fees applied. Next payment due in full plus penalties by February 1st, or they'd begin foreclosure proceedings. Dad called 6 times that day. I didn't answer any of them. Thursday, Esteban came over after work, brought drinks. We sat in my living room and he asked how I was really doing. I'm good. I know I should feel bad, but I don't. Wrong would be feeling bad for enforcing boundaries with people who abused your generosity for 15 years. Mom still thinks I'm evil. She enabled Bruno his entire life and expected you to fund it. That's self-preservation. He was right. Friday morning, I got a different kind of notification. A text from Esteban. Check the county property records. I pulled up the listing. There it was. Their house, listed at a price $20,000 below market value for a quick sale. The photos looked desperate, empty rooms, minimal staging. They were trying to dump it fast. Without my mortgage contribution, they'd be in default by February. Foreclosure would destroy whatever equity they had left. Selling now at least let them walk away with something. That weekend, I took a real weekend off for the first time in 15 years. Went hiking with Esteban, saw a movie, made plans for a trip to Oregon. Monday morning, I got an email notification. Someone had sent me something through Facebook. I didn't use social media much, but I logged in to check. It was a message from Bruno. The message was short. You're a coward. Mom's crying every day because of you. Dad can barely afford his heart medication. We're losing the house. And you don't even care. You proved you're exactly what Mom said, not family, just a selfish person who only cares about money. Hope you're happy with yourself. I read it, then I screenshotted it and saved it to the same folder with the cancellation confirmations and Mom's voice note. I didn't respond. Esteban called me that night. You doing okay? Bruno sent me a message, called me selfish, said I only care about money. Esteban laughed. That's proof you made the right choice. Anyone who responds to you setting boundaries by calling you selfish was never respecting you to begin with. He was right. And somewhere deep down, I'd known that for years. I just hadn't wanted to admit it. February hit, and the consequences accelerated faster than I'd expected. Esteban kept me updated through his network. The house sold in 3 weeks, at a loss. Mom and Dad moved in with my aunt 2 hours away. Bruno bounced between friends' couches for a while before finally getting his own apartment, the cheapest place he could find, 1 bedroom in a rough part of town. Dad's health got worse without consistent access to his medications. They couldn't afford the supplemental insurance anymore, and Medicare gaps were brutal. He ended up in the ER twice in March. Both visits cost thousands out of pocket. They set up payment plans but couldn't keep up with them. The bills went to collections. Bruno's truck got repossessed in late February. He lost his job because he couldn't get to work. He spent 3 weeks unemployed before finding something closer to his apartment, warehouse work. The same kind of stuff I'd been doing for years. He hated it. Complained constantly on social media about how unfair life was. Posted things like, some people get handed everything while others have to fight for scraps. Never once acknowledged he'd created this situation himself. Mom stayed angry. According to my aunt, she blamed me for everything, for Dad's health, for losing the house, for Bruno's struggles. Never mentioned that I'd supported them for 15 years. Never acknowledged that cutting them off was a direct response to her telling me I wasn't her son anymore. The extended family split. Some agreed with Mom. Others thought I'd done what needed to happen years ago. I didn't engage with any of it. In early March, one of Mom's church friends tracked down my work number. Called me during lunch. Said Mom had asked her to reach out because she was too devastated to call herself. Said Mom wanted me to know she forgave me and we could move past this if I just helped them get caught up on a few bills. They needed about $4,000 to avoid losing their rental deposit and catch up on some medical expenses. Her voice dripped with sympathy. Said it would mean so much to Mom if I showed I still cared. I told her Mom had the chance to show she cared. She chose to disown me instead. Then I hung up. The freedom was incredible. I started saving real money for the first time in my adult life. Opened a retirement account. Put down payments on things I wanted instead of things other people needed. Took that trip to Oregon in March. Started dating someone I'd met at a work thing. Her name was Daniela. She had her own career, her own place, her own life. Work went better, too. Got promoted in April because I finally had the mental space to focus on my actual job instead of the next family crisis. My supervisor mentioned I seemed more present, more engaged. I told him I'd cut out some toxic relationships. In May, I got a letter forwarded from my old address, a handwritten envelope. Mom's writing. I almost threw it away. Then I opened it. The letter was 2 paragraphs, short and cold. Said Dad was getting worse. That medical bills were piling up. That they couldn't afford treatment. That if I cared about family at all, I'd help. No apology for her birthday. Just the expectation that I'd fall back in line because they needed money again. I didn't respond. Didn't send money. Just let it sit there as proof that even after everything, they still thought I existed to fund their lives. June brought news that Bruno had been arrested again. Nothing major. A restaurant fight that got out of hand. Charges got dropped eventually, but he spent 2 nights in county before making bail. This time he had to scrape together the money himself. Took him 3 weeks to pay it back to whoever fronted it. Esteban and I talked about it over coffee one night. You feel bad about any of this? He asked. No. Is that wrong? Wrong would be feeling bad for enforcing boundaries with people who abused your generosity for 15 years. Mom still thinks I'm evil. She enabled Bruno his entire life and expected you to fund it. That's self-preservation. He was right. January rolled around again. 1 full year since Mom's birthday. I thought maybe I'd feel something, but all I felt was satisfied. Esteban and I grabbed lunch on the anniversary. 1 year. How's it feel? Feels like I should have done this 15 years ago. Can't change the past. But you can learn from it. What did I learn? That family isn't blood. It's respect. And they never respected you. He was right. Daniela moved in with me in February. First time I'd lived with someone who contributed equally. We split everything. Planned finances together. Handled unexpected expenses as a team. No hidden debt, no crisis calls, just 2 adults managing life. I bought my first new car in April. Actually new. Picked it out myself. Financed it myself, no co-signers. Daniela and I took a 2-week trip to New Zealand in June, something I'd wanted to do my whole life but never could afford. We hiked, explored, spent money on experiences instead of other people's disasters. Rosa, my aunt, called me in July. First time we talked in months. She'd stayed neutral through everything, which I appreciated. She didn't ask me to reconcile, but she also didn't judge Mom and Dad for their choices. Your dad's in the hospital. Heart issues. They think he needs surgery. I waited for the guilt to hit. Waited for the voice in my head saying I should help. That this was life or death. That I should put aside everything and be there. The guilt never came. I'm sorry to hear that, I said. Your mom wanted me to call you. They can't afford the surgery. Medicare will cover some, but the gap is around $15,000, and she thinks I'll pay it. She's hoping. I'm not paying it, Rosa. A long pause. She's going to be upset. She told me I wasn't her son a year ago. She doesn't get to pick and choose when I'm family based on when she needs money. That's fair. I'll let her know. How's Dad actually doing? Not great, but he'll survive. They'll figure out payment plans or apply for assistance. They always do. Good. Then they don't need me. Rosa sighed. You've really moved on, haven't you? Completely. We talked for another few minutes. She mentioned Bruno was still struggling, still bouncing between jobs, still blaming everyone else for his problems, still waiting for someone to rescue him. She mentioned Mom was bitter, spent most family gatherings complaining about how I'd abandoned them, how I'd destroyed the family, how I was everything wrong with modern values. I listened without comment. When she finished, I thanked her for the update and told her I appreciated her not pushing me to reconcile. She said she understood. I hung up feeling nothing. No anger, no guilt, no regret, just calm acceptance that I'd made the right choice and was living the life I deserved. August brought news through Esteban that the house had been foreclosed on after all. Apparently, Mom and Dad had tried to negotiate with the bank after it sold, claiming there were still some equity issues to resolve. The bank wasn't interested. Took the house and whatever was left. Mom and Dad stayed with Rosa indefinitely. Bruno moved again in September, his 4th apartment in a year. This time because his roommate's situation fell apart. He was working at a fast food place, living paycheck to paycheck. According to Rosa, he still talked about me sometimes. Still blamed me for not bailing him out. Still convinced that his life would be fine if only I'd helped. I'd helped for 15 years. His life wasn't fine. That wasn't on me. October marked the first time I went a full month without thinking about them. Not once. No random memories. No guilt spirals. No wondering if I'd made the right choice. Just living my life with people who actually wanted me around. Daniela and I got engaged in November. A small proposal at a restaurant we both liked. She said yes. We started planning a small wedding. Neither of us wanted big ceremonies, just close friends and people who mattered. My family wasn't on the guest list. Daniela asked once if I wanted to invite them. I said no without hesitation. She didn't push. We were looking at venues in late November when Daniela brought up the budget. We both saved money. Both contributed equally. The total we were planning to spend was around $8,000 for everything. Venue, food, photographer. Simple but nice. $8,000, less than what I'd given Bruno for his failed business. Less than the DUI bailout. Less than a year's worth of mortgage gaps I'd covered. And this time, it was for something I actually wanted, something that was mine. Daniela looked at the numbers and smiled, said it felt good to build something together. Where we both showed up equally, where nobody was keeping score because nobody needed to. That's when it really hit me. This was what partnership looked like, what family should have felt like all along. December came around, and I thought about Mom's birthday again. Thought about standing on that porch a year ago with a wrapped ceramic bird. Thought about her telling me I wasn't her son. Thought about how much my life had improved since that moment. Esteban called me Christmas morning. Merry Christmas. How's freedom treating you? Better than family obligation ever did. Good. You staying strong. Haven't wavered once. Proud of you, man. Genuinely. We made plans to grab food that evening. Daniela was cooking dinner for us and a few friends. Just people who showed up because they wanted to. People who valued me for who I was instead of what I provided. That evening, Rosa called again. I almost didn't answer. Then figured why not. Merry Christmas. You too. I wanted to give you an update. Your mom asked about you today. Asked if I'd heard from you. Asked if you might be willing to talk. What did you say? I said I didn't know. That you seemed happy. That maybe she should focus on that instead of what she wanted from you. How'd she take it? Not well, but that's her problem, not yours. Thanks for having my back, Rosa. You're welcome. She mentioned she'd told Mom that if she ever wanted a relationship with me, she'd need to actually apologize. Actually acknowledge what she'd done. Mom had dismissed it. Said she had nothing to apologize for, that I was the one who'd abandoned the family. I thanked Rosa for trying and hung up feeling vindicated. Mom still didn't get it, still thought she was the victim. Still expected me to come crawling back eventually. But I never would. Because I'd finally learned what Esteban had been trying to teach me for years: you can't have a healthy relationship with people who only value you for what you provide. And once you stop providing it, their true feelings become very clear. Mom's real feelings were that I wasn't her son unless I was funding her life. Bruno's real feelings were that I was useful but not worth respecting. Dad's real feelings were somewhere in between, but ultimately aligned with Mom because that was easier than standing up for me. So I'd walked away. And I'd built something better. I'd become the person I should have been 15 years ago. The one who set boundaries. The one who demanded respect before offering support. And it felt perfect.